All right, Bert, thank you. Great to have you with us here on the Nets post-game show. Bob Lorenz and Frank Isola with you. So, as Bird called it, that was a dogfight in Philadelphia tonight. High-scoring game. And if you don't feel like it's a rivalry, like maybe they talked about, look at the number of technicals there.
Yeah, what we finished with 6 of them. I think Ben Simmons was the last one. You're going to be disappointed in the result, obviously, but you have to be encouraged by the way that the Nets did fight. Again, they find themselves down double digits in the fourth quarter. They're down 14 with just about 9 minutes to go. It took them 5 minutes to tie it all up. Philadelphia held a lead for 30 minutes in this game. The Nets were kind of chasing the game, and you kept wondering, is it going to get away from them? Much like what we saw on Sunday in San Francisco. Wasn't the case, though. Really good job by the Brooklyn Nets. Seth Curry, but down the stretch, give their old friend James Harden credit. With the score tied at 120 in that last 3:48, James Harden had 8 of his 23 points in that last 3:48.
With a back and forth in the fourth quarter, I felt like that was a game in itself, right? Because there were so many ebbs and flows. Let's take a look at what happened in that fourth quarter. And the Sixers were up 108 to 102. They've got possession of the ball here, and they're trying to put this thing away.
Yeah, they ended up going on an 8-0 run. Tobias Harris had 5 of those points, including a 3-point play right here. I don't know why they challenge us. I think when you see the replay, it does look like Yuta Watanabe moves a little bit to his left. I thought it was a waste of a challenge. Jacque Vaughn maybe thought the game's getting away from us there. Let me kind of roll the dice. I mean, there was still just about 10 minutes to go in the game when that happens.
All right, so he makes the free throw. It's 113-102. Harden to Maxey. Maxey drills a 3. And again, it looks like Sixers are putting it away.
Yeah, he's a terrific player. The Nets 8-0 run starts with a Joe Harris 3. And Joe really hadn't done much. He was in foul trouble all night. This was the shot that kind of got them going. Yuta Watanabe had a dunk, and the Nets started to get back into it after you thought it might get away. Look at Harden here. Bad defense. Then he kind of slows down, and Kyrie, nice lob pass to Yuta Watanabe off the steal.
All right, so 11-point lead goes down, or deficit goes down to 9, and then Watanabe again. Nice little stutter step, finding Seth in the corner.
How about that pass? That's a terrific pass. And Seth Curry, if he's going to be spotted up, he's going to knock the shot down. And then this is the one off the dribble, ties it up at 120 with 4:08 to go. But it only took the Sixers 20 seconds, and Harden gives them back the lead with that long 3-pointer.
It's almost like he has a patent on that. Gets his guy off him, a little step back, and then he hits the 3.
Yeah, and after Nick Claxton had scored with a little right-handed hook, Harden trying to draw the foul, but he hits the deep 3, makes it a 4-point game. Next time down, Seth on the air ball. Tobias Harris ahead of the pack, misses the shot, but is able to get his own putback to make it a 6-point game, 128-122.
All right, so about 2 minutes left on the clock, but Nets aren't done yet. Nice little pick by Claxton to get the ball ahead.
Yeah, terrific play by him. Gets the dunk. Now it's game on once again. The Nets desperately need a stop. Instead, Embiid gets 2 free throws. Kyrie makes it a game with, look at that. I mean, is that spectacular or what? Again, the Nets, can you get a stop? There's Royce O'Neal on Harden. Not only did they not get a stop, James Harden is scoring a layup at the other end.
Yeah, defense not collapsing on Harden there. And then this is the last play of the game for the Nets, down 137-133, and they turn it over.
And clearly from that, the Nets were going to try to play the free throw game. They were going to try to score, continue to foul the Sixers. But you talk about it all the time. Free throw shooting, how important it is. You want to win championships. You want to win big games. The Sixers were 35 of 36 from the free throw line, and they knocked down their last 20. That's championship type of basketball. You got to make those free throws.
As we went into this game, the Nets, of course, had won their last 2 on the road in the West Coast, and then they come here and they lose this one so close. Again tonight is that example that for now they can tread water and play without KD.
And let's remember, look at 2 of those losses. You're going to be really disappointed in the Oklahoma City loss because you're up 5 going into the fourth quarter. Then you're playing San Antonio. I get it, Kyrie Irving didn't play, but it's one of the weaker teams in the league. But if you look at the first loss to Boston, the Nets played really well. Tonight, defensively, were there some letdowns? Yes. But Philadelphia's at full strength, and you're putting up 133 points tonight when you don't have Kevin Durant. But when they needed stops down the stretch, you have James Harden, a former MVP in the league, Joel Embiid, who could one day be an MVP in this league. They're making plays. Give Kyrie Irving credit, kept them in it. Nick Claxton kept them in it. Seth Curry was spectacular tonight with his father-in-law, Doc Rivers on the other bench. It was a fun game. So you mentioned ebbs and flows. So many different things happened. Guys, a lot of trash talk was going on. There was a lot of pushing and shoving. None of it crossed the line. A lot of technical fouls. But Jacque Vaughn said, not a rivalry. Stop.
Yeah.
Jacques Vaughn has said a lot of things. He's been right 99% of the time. He's wrong about that. This is a rivalry.
Well, I mean, what you saw, what Harden did against his former team, what Ben Simmons did, and we should mention, coming into this one, we talked about Simmons putting up stats, getting assists, getting rebounds, not really scoring. He became more effective as a scorer in this game.
He definitely did. In that third quarter, he started to be more aggressive, and I think maybe the fans getting on him, a lot of talk from his, his former teammates. He ended up scoring 10 points in that third quarter, including that late one, which put it under double digits.
All right, so let's take a look at what Ben Simmons was able to get done in this game. Again, kind of blocking out the noise. This was the intro, the loudest boos. They had him go out first, just got it out of the way.
Yeah, and I think he expected that. It's not that big of a deal, really. Plus, he's been back there now. This is the third time. Once as a spectator, the other one as a player. Here, he's right near the basket. He's got to, look to make a power dribble and go up. Gets the ball back. Again, Ben, take the contact and go up. I get it. He always looking to pass. But you got to take the shot when you're that close to the basket.
So what's the lack of aggression? Is he afraid of getting a call against him and getting into foul trouble?
I just think that's the way that he plays. Now, there he does have Embiid on him. But again, you're 6'10". Power dribble, elevate, and shoot the ball. Now, in the second half, a little bit different story. Gets the ball here. He's got P.J. Tucker guarding him. Look at this. Crossover dribble. Don't tell me the guy doesn't have skills. Switches to his right hand and connects from there. Again, darting down the lane, pump fake. Gets a nice friendly roll with the soft touch. This time sets the screen, rolls to the basket. Terrific pass from Seth Curry as Montrezl Harrell comes out to help. And then this was at the end of the quarter. Again, great play by Ben Simmons. The Sixers know he's not shooting a three, for crying out loud. He goes there, creates the contract with Montrezl Harrell. Did miss the free throw, however.
All right, so one more power move. And again, don't be afraid of the contact right there. And then take the shot if the shot is there. He was not in for about the final 9 minutes.
Yeah, now, right after he made that last basket, he got the ball again against George Niang. Niang did a pretty good job defensively. Ben was called for a travel. When the whistle blew, Niang screams into Ben's ear, which for me is taunting, and then Ben kind of pushes him away, and Ben Simmons got the technical. It's the old thing. It's almost like a hockey thing where they always get the guy that retaliates. Yeah. But I thought if you're going to give Ben Simmons a technical foul there, because remember, that's a free throw, I thought Niang deserved one as well because he was the one taunting Ben after the travel call.
All right, let's talk about a couple key players in this one, and we wondered about that battle between Joel Embiid and Nick Claxton and how Claxton would handle that. Once again, Claxton steps up with a really strong defensive performance.
Yeah, and, they got into it here. And look, I think it was smart for Nick Claxton. Don't even engage. I get it. He got a technical foul there, but clearly Joel Embiid, then Montrezl Harrell. See, Montrezl Harrell comes over later on. Harrell got a technical. They're trying to intimidate him. The best way to respond to it is this way. Just be aggressive on the basketball court. Use your athleticism. Here, driving to the basket, finishing with his left hand. And I said it in the pregame. Let Montrezl Harrell talk all he wants. You're going to end up putting up 20 and 10, and that's exactly what Nick Claxton did. Now, Bob, he did look a little exhausted because when you're guarding Embiid, you're giving up a lot in weight. He played a lot of minutes tonight, but I thought for the most part this was not good defense on Embiid. Embiid is so tough. Remember, he had missed Philadelphia's previous game with that foot injury, so he was well rested. And the Nets are somewhat undersized because if you're not going to have Claxton on him, then you have to have Ben Simmons on him because Day'Ron Sharpe's not even available. But by the way, that should be a technical foul, too.
And we were talking about this on the pregame, by the way. All you do is the eye test. When you look at Embiid's body against Claxton, who's no slouch defensively, Embiid ends up with 26, though, 6 of 18. So there's a little bit of a silver lining. Embiid has been shooting about 50% lately, and he was held well under that.
And during the pregame, we said in his last 2 games that he played, he had a total of 22 free throws. Tonight, he goes to the free throw line 13 times and makes all of them. So that's 35 free throws now in his last 3 games. The guy, he gets to the line. You love the way that he plays. He's a fun guy, but he does complain a lot about calls. I mean, come on, Joel. You spend the entire game at the free throw line.
All right, we got to take a break. We're going to come back. We got a lot more coming up. We'll have game highlights for you. We will hear from Jacques Vaughn about his guys getting involved in a slugfest in Philly, falling 137-133 to the Sixers. Stick around. We're back with final stats from the Nets and Sixers, including our key to the game. Philly's free throw shooting in a game that was decided by just 4 points. The Sixers, Frank, went 35 of 36 from the line. James Harden had the only miss in the game.
It's amazing. That's terrific from the free throw line. You know, Miami had a game this season where they were 40 for 40. Coincidentally enough, it came after that controversial ending in the Nets-Miami game when Miami thought that Jimmy Butler got fouled on the final play. Right. Last 2-minute report said, no, he didn't get fouled. The very next game, they got 40 free throws. Now, I'm not trying to tell the Nets what to do, but a game like this that's physical, I'm going to make a point, because I'm playing tomorrow night, that we were getting fouled too. How come they're going to the free throw line 36 times? We're going 27. I'm going to put that in the minds of the NBA, because I play tomorrow night. Miami did it. They got 40 free throws. We'll see what the Nets do tonight and what they get tomorrow.
Philly with a 14-point edge at the free throw line. Let's hear from Jacques Vaughn, Megan Triplett leading things off.
Jacques, you mentioned during pregame that you wanted this team to dictate how everything would have gone. First quarter, things were going your way. You matched it 41-41. Where did you see things change, and what was kind of the difference here?
Yeah, the turnovers. And so when those occurred, that allowed them to get in transition and get easy buckets. So the turnovers the first half definitely were a problem. And so that's a part of reacting a little bit and having poise, and on a break having space at the same time. So a little collection of things that allowed them to get in transition with the turnovers early.
Where you guys were able to rally and cut it within. What was working so well during that period of time?
Well, that was them reacting to us. That's what we talked about. So we dictated the pace a little bit, what sets they were in, mixing up some zone to kind of take the lead on creating tempo, and then we were able to push the basketball, get in pick and roll, and get space behind the pick and roll.
Coach, Ben had 0 in the first half and then 10 in the third quarter alone, and then didn't play for the last 8 or so minutes. What went into the halftime when he had that switch in aggression, and then what was the rationale in not playing him down the stretch?
Yeah, I think it's overall, it's again the message that I kind of talked about before the game is we're going to get every guy, and that's including Ben, to value every possession, to play hard every possession. And just because you play the first half doesn't mean you're going to play the second half. We really want to get to a point where your teammate is dependent on you to do your job every single night, every single possession. Ben showed more ability to play with force in the second half, which paid off, which is what we need, which was great for our team. And then down the stretch, with us being down, just wanted to space the floor, getting more shooting out there, see if we can climb back into the game, no matter what the size was or anything.
I don't want to put words in your mouth. You're saying it was more a matchup issue and trying to create spacing than it was instances where you did not feel he was playing with force or did not feel that he was giving the effort that you wanted.
No, it was more so we were down and needing to get threes like we did and give Kai some space to get downhill, which we were able to, get Embiid and pick and roll, which we were able to, and then we could get by with it with playing some zone at the same time. That was really it, Brian.
Then twofold. One, I mean, we talked about a little bit about the zone before the game. Was that kind of acquiescing to their size a little bit, or is that something that we'll see more and more of?
No, I think you've seen a taste of it, the last few games for sure, starting in Phoenix, and something like we talked about, that we can build on, something that we don't want to rely on. We've been a pretty good defensive team in our man coverages, but something else, the opposing team has to plan for and practice for.
You touched a little bit on the turnovers. I mean, you guys got outscored by 10 in the second quarter, and it was 10-2 in points off of turnovers. Was that anything that they were doing to turn you over, or was that just more on you guys?
No, I think it has to be a conscious effort for our group to tie that back to the beginning. What Christian was talking about is value in every possession. And, whether that is maybe not making that triple. How about a single and we live with it and we get a good shot and we don't turn it over? Because the transition points, those, you can't Eurofoul anymore. And so the steal happens or the turnover happens. Those are layups. Those are dunks. And so that's how you get, scored on in transition. So that part of the game, you can take a little bit more consciousness, effort in trying to take care of the rock.
With that unit of Royce, Yuta, Clax, Kyrie, and Seth, long time down the stretch. I mean, did you think fatigue was any factor towards the end with them? And did you think about maybe making a switch of one or two of those guys, just given that?
I thought they all gave us something that we needed. Whether it was the ability to play zone and have an IQ to be in the right place in the zone and talk, whether it was the ability to shoot the basketball and space the floor, take advantage of matchups that we had out there. We really got some quality looks at the end of the night with that group out on the floor.
And TJ, I think this is his third and fourth games where you didn't really play more than a dozen minutes. I mean, is there a trend lately, or has it been as simple as just the person you've put in front of him has given you more?
Yeah, I think that's what it boils down to, Alex. It's just we have a lot of guys that we can play. So whether that's Joe, Royce, Yuta, Seth, and Kai been playing together more than previously. So that's another wing kind of guardish spot that's being taken advantage of right now. So it's just a matter of other guys playing right now. So we'll need them tomorrow for sure.
There were instances in the first quarter or in the first half where it didn't look like Ben was trying to score, and then in the third quarter he just is aggressive trying to find a shot. Did you or anybody else say something to him to kind of get him in that mode, or was that just him on his own?
You become what you think about. And so if you're thinking about being aggressive, you will be aggressive. If you're thinking about being a good teammate, you'll be a good teammate. If you're thinking about competing and playing hard, you'll do those things. You become what you think about.
Instances where Ben would go over to the sidelines and talk to Patty, and Patty would kind of maybe coach him or talk to him through some things. Can you just kind of talk about those two and the relationship they have?
Yeah, it's just great just seeing having a veteran like Patty who has a relationship with Ben and can be a voice and a listening ear at the same time. Someone that knows him very well that we depend on. So Patty serves a lot of roles that he doesn't get credit for. That's definitely one of them. And sometimes athletes just need to be heard.
Are you able to look at any of these games where you don't have Kevin and say, if we had Kevin, maybe the result would be different and we played well? Or is it just no matter who's out there, the result is the result?
The result is the result. And that's what I told the group after the game is this group that's in the locker room right now, when we line it up against an opponent, expect to win. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I don't mention any other thing but the group in the locker room and this group trying to win. So I don't think about it that way.
I feel like we asked you this several times over the course of the road trip, last two road trips. But, I mean, how do you get Ben to a point where he's thinking about those things that you mentioned more often than he is thinking about the rest?
That's the goal, Brian. And that's where we're going to get him to, where each possession he has to be dealt with on both ends of the floor, where you feel him on both ends of the floor and he imposes his will and has an impact on every single possession, which he has the ability to do. That's where we're going to get to. That's the challenge, and we're going to continue to expect it from him. Like I told the group, we expect to win when we step out on the floor. No excuses at all. We expect it to win tonight. We expect to win tomorrow. We expect to play hard every single time we step on the floor. So we're going to get our guys to do that every single night.
Jack, how close do you think he is to exactly what you described? Finding it within himself every single night.
Yeah, it's easy for me to look at the possessions, so I don't look at it, was it a great quarter? Was it a great half? Was it a great 5-minute stretch? No. When I watch the film, what happened this possession right here? Did you box out this possession? And this is the entire group. Did you have physicality, or did P.J. Tucker deliver the first blow? Did you run the floor with force? Did you try to get to the paint? This is the entire group. Did you play that single possession? So that's how I watch the games. That's how I judge each guy and the expectations from each guy. Okay, guys.
Well, Jacques Vaughn doing a deep dive into the way he wants his players to play. One of those he was asked about a variety of times, Ben Simmons, who did become more aggressive. We already talked about that and showed that in that second half, but he disappeared largely in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I really think for the first time, that's as close as Jacques Vaughn has come to really calling out a player. And I think, clearly he was happy with the way that Ben Simmons played in the third quarter, but he's wondering what happened to him in the first half. You only take one shot. You did have 3 rebounds, you had 2 assists, but you didn't have any points, and you were a team-high -11 in that first half. And he also, throughout the game, he picked up a lot of, touch fouls. He's out on the perimeter fouling. The one where Joel Embiid, he got him on the elbow, which sent Joel Embiid to the free throw line. I think that frustrated him as well. But I know the reporters, and there's nothing wrong with asking, why did he sit the final 8:37, right? It was the final 8:57 of the game. So they're down 14. Maxey makes the 3. It's a 14-point game. Now once you're really chasing the game, you have Claxton out there, not a three-point shooter. He wants more offense, and it worked. They ended up tying the game. So at that point, when they tied the game up, that comes with exactly 4:08 to go. They tie the score at 120. Now, if Philadelphia calls timeout, maybe Jacque Vaughn is saying, I'm going to get a defensive unit in there. I'll get Ben Simmons in the game. Philadelphia doesn't call timeout. James Harden comes out and hits a three. You come back, make a shot. Then James Harden hits a three. Next thing you know, it's a 4-point game. Then with 90 seconds to go, it's 7. So once again, you're chasing the game, and you need offense out there. And let's remember, against the Warriors on Sunday, Ben Simmons was not in the game down the stretch when the Nets were making that comeback. So I kind of felt by the words that Jacque Vaughn was saying, yes, are there times I'd like to have him in there? But he has to kind of earn it. He has to prove that he's going to be aggressive like he was in that third quarter when he had the 10 points. He had one more basket in the fourth, finished with 12. But that was the kind of game. Think about how not everyone was playing great defense tonight. That was the kind of game where Ben Simmons should be putting up 20 points, 10 rebounds, and maybe 10 assists.
Yeah, aggressive at one point, but not throughout the entire game. Let's hear what Ben Simmons has to say about his effort tonight.
Just attacking until they stop me. Pushing the tempo, realizing we need some easy buckets.
Well, I guess what's the difference between the first half and when you got...
Trying to find my guys way too much. I mean, the first time we played them, I think I ended up with 11 assists. Each game's going to be different. We don't have Kevin, so that was one of the major factors. But yeah.
What did you see as the result from the turnovers? Jacque said that allowed you guys to kind of slow down and that dictated the pace. What did you see from
our turnovers? Mm-hmm. I mean, anytime you turn the ball over, it's going to be easy for them to set up. Obviously, they have Joel down there and somebody who's such a huge presence. He's not going to be stopped. He's just going to make it hard on him.
It seemed like Patty was giving you some additional coaching tips or calling you over on the side a couple times for the game.
He was just like, yeah, don't pass it, bro. Just go to the rim.
That was the message?
No, it wasn't. The message was just, you have a lot more time down there than you think. Obviously, still trying to get used to taking hits and getting to the rim and finishing. But yeah, just take your time down there. I had more than I realized.
What was the message from the coaching staff at halftime, whether it was Jacque or anybody else?
It's you got to be us. We continue to play with pace, defensively, lock in, focus. We need the 50-50 balls. We got to rebound. A lot of hustle plays. So.
What was Seth giving you guys? I mean, it seems like he was enjoying playing against us.
I love playing with him. It's so easy to play with him. He reads the game so well. We have great chemistry. He's Seth, man. He's a Curry.
When you come out, you're aggressive like you were in the second half, and then things start to go well. Does it kind of roll with you?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, I don't even want to come out the game at that point, So,
how do you, I guess, stomach the idea when you're not in the game down the stretch, even though you're playing well?
This is what it is. It's coach's decision, I can't really control that. So, obviously, for myself, I want to be out there.
Always talks about clarity, in terms of how he tries to be clear with players. What was, I guess, the clear message that he gave to you, whether it was today or whether it was the other day when you didn't only play like 4 or 5 minutes in the fourth? What has been his message to you?
I ain't really had no message from him, but, I think it's more just whatever the team needs to win. So if we're winning, I have no problem. But if we're losing, then I got an issue, So.
When you see you guys have to come back from double-digit deficits and you're able to do that, especially there late in the fourth quarter, what do you take from that response and how you guys can take from that to make it to a full 48 minutes?
I feel like we've been in plenty of situations where we've had to make runs and come back. Just got to stay poised and continue to build each play and doing little things. Stuff on
You knew how much hype was going to surround anytime you got matched up with Joel. What was that matchup like?
It's fun. I only had to guard him in practice a couple times, so yeah. It's tough.
I need to cut you off. You said the last time we were here, you thought it'd be louder when you had the ball and everything. Yeah. What did you make of this time around?
What did I say last time? It was probably last time, probably like an 8. I think playoffs, and if we come here for the playoffs, maybe we'll hit a 10.
So you said last time was an 8. What was this then?
Probably 7.5.
What's the value in having a guy like Patty around?
He's realistic. He has plenty of experience, especially for me, somebody I trust. We're on the same page a lot of the time with a lot of things. So having somebody that's just been in different experiences and has won championship, I love Patty, so he's great.
You say realistic? What was the first thing you realized?
Realistic.
What do you mean by that?
Realistic, you know what realistic means.
It means I'm saying, what do you
There
mean
you
by
go,
that?
realistic. You ain't even asked the question.
For you guys now have to pack up and now go play for tomorrow. What do you take from this game that's going to be important to build off of for tomorrow's night
We
matchup?
got to win tomorrow. That's it. Just got to win.
Well, by his own admission, Ben was saying he was trying to find his guys too much in that first half. Maybe that's why, scoring-wise, he was passive. You almost get the impression that Jacques Vaughn could or already has said that Ben Simmons in the third quarter, that's the guy. If you want to play in the fourth quarter, that's the guy we need then,
No,
too.
the one thing about Ben Simmons, when he gives analysis of himself, he's not combative and he says, I was being aggressive out there. He kind of goes along with it and says, I need to do more. I need to be more aggressive and look for my shot. And when he said, Patty Mills said you have more time under there, let's remember, that was the basket closest to the Nets bench. There were a couple of times in that first half where he had the ball under the basket and he's looking to kick it out. I think that's where they're telling him you have time, compose yourself, elevate and try to dunk the ball or lay it in. What's interesting about it, if you go back to that disastrous playoff series he had against Atlanta, his last games that he ever played with the Philadelphia 76ers, it was at that basket. It was a memorable play where he was underneath and all he had was Trae Young on him and he could have gone up and shot the ball. And there's the famous picture of him kicking it out, which really got things rolling. And even after that series, he sat there and he answers all the tough questions. So it's not as if he's oblivious to what's going on. He knows exactly what he needs to do. It's just about going out there and doing it. Everyone sees it, that he in moments like that, he needs to be more aggressive, and he's agreeing with it. He agrees. He's saying, yeah, I can't, I'm looking too much for my teammates, and I think that's his nature. And again, I think this also goes back to Kevin Durant not being there. I said it all last year. He's going to be so happy to play with Kevin Durant. It's going to be the greatest player he's ever played with. But when Kevin Durant isn't out there, you got to remember you're Ben Simmons. You've been an all-star in this league. You need to do more offensively.
All right, so we'll see if maybe he can turn that around coming up tomorrow night. In the meantime, we'll take a break. It got very physical. We've talked about the technicals. Even KD weighed in on Twitter saying he mixed
Montrezl Harrell got into it with somebody?
Yeah.
That's your guy. He's a Californian. Well, he played in L.A. Probably neighbors with him. And you and him have a beach house.
And we're back once again here on the post-game show, and there's your game summary brought to you by Infinity. A high-scoring first half. Each of the teams, Frank, with 41 first-quarter points. We knew what kind of night we were in for right then, right?
Yeah, and the quarter took about 34 minutes. We thought we were going to get out of here at about 1 o'clock in the morning, as did Kevin Durant. You know, it had a feel to it. Now, remove the score, because the score is not a playoff score, and let's, you want to imagine Kevin Durant in there. But it definitely it feels like that was game one of a playoff series, and in 2 nights they're going to play game 2. Just the way the two teams were going at it, and I think this is what the fans love to see in the regular season, a real competitive, borderline nasty game. You don't want to see anybody getting into a fight, but you could tell that, a lot of talking was going on. You had some terrific performances. You love the way that Seth Curry played Kyrie Irving's basket at the end of the game. I mean, you talk about the talent that the guy has. It's through the roof. The Nets just, in the most crucial moment of the game, after they tied up at 120, and give them all the credit in the world, they were down 17 in this game, down 14, 9 minutes to go. They needed to get stops, and they just couldn't do it after they tied the game.
Yeah, it's almost like you catch up, and that's great, but then you need to hit that go-ahead bucket to change the tone and get the Sixers back on their heels.
Yeah, and I think that probably was one of the toughest things for the Brooklyn Nets, and I think for the Net fans watching at home, because you tie it up, you're excited, you need to stop, and who's the guy hitting the shot? It's James Harden, who obviously is a player that was talked about a lot going into the game, during the game. He had a good game, didn't do too much, but he had 8 points after the game was tied. Philly had the lead for 30 minutes in this game. The Nets, that's what I like. I like the way that they played against Utah. I love the way they played against the Golden State Warriors, where they were down, and there's kind of this attitude of, let's, a lot of teams just pack it in at that point. The Brooklyn Nets have not done that. Says a lot about the character of this group, says a lot about the coaching staff.
All right, we're going to take a break. We got more coming up, more on Seth Curry. Curry lighting it up tonight with 32. He was a three-point machine as he kept the Nets in this one. They fall 137-133. More on Curry coming up. Great Great to have you back once again on the Nets post-game as they fall by 4 to the Sixers in Philly. Really terrific game all around. And on the pregame, we talked about who would be that complimentary piece to Kyrie Irving if he was drawing attention. Well, tonight his go-to guy, and everybody's go-to guy, was Seth Curry in this one, playing Frank almost 35 minutes off the bench.
Yeah, he wasn't just a complimentary player. He was a superstar tonight the way that he played. He's gotten so much better, especially off the dribble. He ends up going 11 of 20, 7 of 10 on threes, to 32 points. And really the moment for him, the Nets are down 8, under 6 minutes to go. They go on an 8-0 run, and Seth Curry had hit a jumper, and then, of course, it was his three-pointer with 4:08 left, which tied the game at 120. It seemed like whenever they needed a basket, it was Seth Curry delivering, doing it in front of his father-in-law. What do you think the holidays are like? You got Doc Rivers there, Del Curry, Seth Curry, Steph Curry, Austin Rivers. They must have a lot of fun. They must have good pickup games at those barbecues.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And Seth, again, tonight, 32, as you mentioned, 11 of 20. Kyrie with 30 and Nick Claxton with 25. Seth talked to Megan Triplett just moments ago. Let's listen in.
Seth, what did you see as the difference maker down the stretch for you guys?
And we were down. We were trying to come back. Got to play perfect basketball to get back in a game like that. And, I mean, we made a good run at it, but we just couldn't get over the hump. So it's kind of the first 3 quarters of the game kind of set us back.
You kind of set the tone for the group coming off the bench. What opened up for you on the offensive side?
Just making plays, trying to be aggressive, getting the ball in my hands a little bit, playing some pick and roll, moving out the ball. Some teammates set me up a couple times, but just going out there trying to find good shots and do what I do.
Seth, you played pretty well against the Sixers since getting traded here. I mean, you look like you did a dance in front of the bench and had a couple of things to say after some of those threes. I mean, were you enjoying yourself out there at all with that?
I'm always enjoying myself, man. It's no different. Just it's a good environment here, good fans. Obviously, a really good team. So, just a little bit more emotion when you play in an arena like this with, like I said, good energy, good fans, and I mean, it was a big time game tonight.
Ben had that third quarter where he just felt like he was just attacking. What did you see from him in that period as opposed to the first 2 quarters when he wasn't really trying to shoot as much?
Just he was attacking, putting his head down, and doing a good job finishing.
Was that did you guys say anything to him like, hey, we need you to score more? Was that him on his own just getting to the basket?
Nah, he can do whatever he wants out there.
How much better is this team when he's that aggressive? I mean, how much does that open things up?
I mean, it helps put points on the board. I mean, they're playing him pretty much one-on-one now, backing up, and when he gets in that pocket on rolls and finishes, and when he puts pressure on the defense in transition, that's just, like I said, more points on the board. Also gets us in the bonus sometimes because he gets to the foul line. So it's another way to create offense.
Even though Joel played, I mean, you guys, the rebounding really wasn't an issue, and I mean, you guys did a pretty good job handling him, all things. I mean, what do you think you made of that matchup tonight?
I mean, we did a good job. He kills everybody. I mean, we don't have the size, 4 or 5 position that they have or most teams have, but we did a good job fighting them. They're a really good team regardless. They're going to put up a lot of points, and we just did a good job fighting for 48 minutes, trying to attack them on the other end. And like I said, everybody rose to the challenge and tried to take it on.
Defending without fouling has been kind of one of the themes these last couple of games for you guys. We knew this game was going to be chippy. When you see the Philadelphia Sixers get to the free throw line, like the amount of times that they did, what have you seen that is kind of attributed to that on the defensive side for you guys, and how do you kind of find that poise?
That's the NBA, and that's the way they play. So, I mean, they get to the free throw line every night at a high clip. And the NBA these days, if you try to play good defense against good offensive players, they're going to go to the free throw line a lot. So that's just part of it. You got to stick to it, try to use your hands to make them shoot over top, and live with the results.
That sloppy second quarter, right? Was that turnovers on you guys' end? Was that them turning you guys over, or was that more you?
I'll be honest, I don't remember what happened in the second quarter.
Is this the first time in a matter of like a week you've played a lot of your family members? Do you remember a time like this or stretch of a week where you played your brother-in-law, your brother, now your father-in-law?
Not really. It's been a pretty good stretch, like you said. For the most part, most of those, Steph and Damian been on the same team, and I've been on a team with Doc. So it's kind of only playing twice a year. So this is a good little stretch, and it's good to get 2 wins. Oh, one. Now we got 1. Yeah, never mind.
Are you guys able to maybe look at some of these games and say if Kevin was here, things would be different, or is that kind of not a healthy way of looking at some of these games?
You can't look at it like that in the NBA. You got to go out, try to play well, try to win. In the regular season, there's so many matchups, depend on health and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Last time Kevin was here, we lost. I mean, it is what it is. You got to go out and compete. We know we can, if we play well, we can compete with anybody, like we showed over the past week. So you got to have that mindset where it's no excuses.
Seth, obviously, Kevin changes everything. Without him, you feel like you guys have the rhythm you need offensively to make it through the rest of this stretch?
Yeah, I mean, obviously me and Kyrie got to do a lot, just creating offense for us, and Ben got to help us out, and Clax doing a good job making plays with the handoffs and rolling. We got to just create offense different ways. So, I mean, just the load changes on guys like myself, and trying to be aggressive and see what happens. We got to just stick to it. 48-minute games. We got to everybody a different night. Everybody got to help us out in different ways.
I'm glad he brought it up that way because I was thinking about this. Again, we think of him as a three-point shooter. We should. He's 7 of 10 tonight. But of his 11 makes, 4 were different shots. And we saw those in his highlights, right?
Yeah.
Little running floater, takes it to the basket for a layup. And not afraid to bypass what might not be a great 3 to set up for a cleaner 2.
Yeah, because as he's, became a much better player in the NBA, teams are running him off the three-point line. So he's developed a game where he can score off the dribble. He missed 1 at the rim tonight, which he just barely missed. But look at the game that he and Kyrie Irving had. They combined for 62 points, 20 of 35 from the field, 9 of 15 on threes. They were both they were spectacular tonight. I like how he mentioned the family, because think about the connections. On the Phoenix Suns, Damian Lee, who married Seth's sister.
Yep.
Then he played his brother on Sunday, his father-in-law tonight. Then you throw Dell into the mix,
Right,
and
he
Austin
plays in
Rivers
front of
into
his
the mix.
dad, yeah.
Again, that's got to be some pickup game at the barbecue.
How do you decide whose house to have it at? I mean, is it a fair lottery system?
Steph
Is
definitely has the bigger house because he's making the most. He probably makes more than the rest of them combined.
Let's hope he pays for the flights to get there,
There
too.
you go. Exactly.
We got to take a break. We got more coming up. Nets fall to the Sixers, 137-133. Good physical battle, good hard-fought battle. We got more coming up. Oh, looking forward to a big MVP battle between Nikola Jokic and Giannis Antetokounmpo, but Nikola's sitting this one out, second of a back-to-back.
Didn't happen. There's a problem. Stop playing back-to-backs. Forget it. The players win. Nobody wants to play back-to-backs. So here you have a matchup, the last 3 MVPs, and Jokic doesn't play.
Giannis playing at home. Giannis playing at home.
It's Greek. It's all Greek to you.
Chris Middleton, nice little lob pass to a cutting Giannis. It was going to be a big game for him. 24 of his 33 in the second half. He was just doing what he wanted to out there.
And you know what? Milwaukee now, they look a lot different. Middleton hadn't played since December 15th. He came back a couple of games ago. They're starting to get healthy, more than halfway through the season. And this guy's helping, too. The former Utah Jazz, Joe Ingles, knocking down a 3 from the corner.
So Bucks go on to win that one 107-99. So Giannis averaging 31 points and 12 rebounds. This is a MVP candidate list. Is this your MVP candidate
Absolutely.
list?
Those 6 are definitely on there. You want to put John Morant on there. You want to put maybe De'Aaron Fox. Think about Sacramento. Sabonis playing really well. I think the win is going to come from this group. And right now, I know he didn't play tonight. He missed a couple of games previously with the hamstring. I think it's going to be Nikola Jokic for a 3rd straight year, just at this point.
Right.
The way that he's played. I think Kevin Durant, now depending on when he comes back, because Kevin Durant was right there with him as well. Giannis has missed a bunch of games, but record has something to do with it too. Right now, Denver, despite the loss tonight, still has the best record in the Western Conference.
Just following up on what you said, get rid of back-to-backs, do you think the NBA would ever consider that?
I don't think so, because I got to figure out a way to get the games in. But maybe if you're going to do home back-to-backs, that's one thing. I know a couple of teams, Portland did it the other night. They played on Sunday and Monday at home. I was thinking baseball, they talk about giving guys off day game after night game, but for the NBA, if you play a day game on a Sunday, for example, then the next night on a Monday play a back-to-back, that's a little bit different. But it's an issue. Think about what happened last week in Cleveland with the Golden State Warriors. People buying tickets to games, and the best players aren't showing up. It's a real turnoff for a lot of fans.
Yeah, it's a roll of the dice. If you're trying to buy tickets before the season, thinking, oh, yeah, Steph Curry's going to be playing in this game, you might have to dig a little deeper if you're a fan to say, wait a minute, is it the second of a back-to-back?
And remember, too, it's not just the players, because, when the players do get injuries, they say they have an ankle injury, they would play the next night. It's the teams now also really babying the players because of the investment that they're making, and everyone just get ready for playoff time, which is part of the problem. But remember, if you're going to market the league around stars, and there's so many great stars in this league, and if they're not playing, it's a big turnoff. If you go buy tickets for Beyonce or the Rolling Stones, and Beyonce's not performing, and Mick Jagger's not performing, guess what? They give everybody their money back, and you go home. And you're marketing around stars, and that's a big problem right now.
No, they just have a really good Beyonce stand-in.
Yeah, that's going to really work.
Is it really her? She's really far back on the stage.
I think Taylor Swift is performing about 9 straight days at MetLife Stadium.
Yeah.
Imagine if that happens.
Yeah.
You would have teenage girls rioting at MetLife Stadium. They don't do that.
All right, speaking of stars, Joel Embiid on the court tonight. Weren't sure if he was going to play. He's got that little left foot situation, but he was out there, 26 points. Nick Claxton did a nice job on him, and Claxton, opposite him, 25 points and 11 rebounds. He was 11 and 12 from the field. Here is Claxton.
Nick, I don't know how many games in a row this is 20-plus points for you. I think 3 or 4. Just what have you found that's allowed you to get into such a comfortable scoring rhythm?
My teammates are finding me a lot. Definitely got to give a lot of credit to them just finding me in my spots. And I'm just being more aggressive, being more assertive out there. We're missing a lot of scoring, so somebody has to step up. So I'm just picking my spots and doing what I do.
What did you see, I guess, down the stretch? You guys were able to kind of fight back down 17, and then just what happened down that didn't allow you guys to come back?
Yeah, I thought we had it, man. It was definitely, we fought. We just weren't able to get, James, he hit a couple big shots, and then the rebound, the kick out, the maxi for the 3. So we were right there, but definitely it's no moral victory here. We wanted to win the game, so we just got to watch the film and get ready for Detroit tomorrow.
17 points down in the third, whatever it was, 116 to 102 in the fourth. Did you guys just dig too deep a hole and have to expend too much energy coming back?
It's tough when you get down like that. They just scored too easy throughout the night. The zone slowed them down a little bit, but they just scored so many points, and it's hard, like you said, when you get down like that and you exert so much energy coming back, and then they make those timely threes. It's just draining.
The zone's it's not been something that you guys have done a lot of over the past couple of years, but it's worked pretty effectively the last few times you've pulled it out. I mean, do you think that's something you guys might use more?
It's definitely been effective, and I think that's something that we'll go to, especially when teams are exploiting the switches, like against Phoenix and tonight against Philly. So I think it's definitely something that we can have in our back pocket.
Nick, who initiated the dialogue tonight between you and Joel?
Let me see. I blocked his shot. I think he was upset there was no foul call. I said something to him. He told me to repeat it. I repeated it. He walked up on me. I don't know how I got a text. When I said one thing and I'm just sitting there standing, he walks up on me. I get a text, but I take it. It's a double take. It's just competition, just having some fun. That's all it really is.
You're surprised that it's the second time you guys have played each other this year, but for this particular game, they don't have like a box. They're coaching for there's a boxer's crowd tonight. Are you surprised by the intensity level of both teams and the crowd tonight in terms of the way the game is played?
No, that's what you expect coming here. I mean, that's as a competitor, that's what you want. You love coming into an environment like a Philly or a Boston. There's not many places that have the crowds really into it like they were tonight, and it was a hostile environment, and it's tough to take a L.
I feel like you've obviously always been confident in your abilities, but is there a different level of confidence when the play backs up what you feel about yourself?
Yeah, just putting together, a full body of work so far this season, and not having to sit out any games, being fully in the rotation. You can pop your shit a little more. So it's definitely some confidence that comes with that.
In his fourth year in the league, we've talked a lot about the strides he's made as a player on the court, statistically, et cetera. But how about the game, about going up against some of the game's biggest stars like Embiid tonight?
Yeah, and, before the game, Montrezl Harrell was talking about, well, he's not really a focal point, which to me told me that the 76ers knew that he's a focal point. I think they wanted to test him, see if they could throw him off his game. That little interaction that he had with Joel Embiid, I kind of agree with Nick Claxton. Embiid's walking off the court. He says, repeat that. Nick Claxton repeat it, but just looked pretty calm as he was saying it. Embiid approached him. So if it had been the other way around, if it were Claxton approaching Embiid, I think they would have just given Claxton the foul, and a technical foul. And let's also remember, Montrezl Harrell did the same thing in the first half as well. He was talking to Nick Claxton. He ended up getting a technical, and Doc Rivers was saying to the referee, give a second one to Nick Claxton. Why is that? They want Nick Claxton out of the game. So this idea that, he's not making that big of an impact, we don't think about him. Not the way they acted tonight. They were thinking about him, and he still played well.
The non-focal focal point.
Very good. I like that.
We got to take a break. The focal point coming up is going to be on Kyrie Irving. We're going to hear from him about tonight's game coming up. Kyrie Irving, another terrific game tonight in the Nets' 137-133 loss. 30 points, 9 of 15 from the field, made 10 of his 11 free throws, and added 10 assists. Let's hear from Kyrie post-game.
Kyrie, you guys came back from down 17, fell a little bit short. Obviously, there's no moral victories, but what do you take away from the way you guys were able to fight back?
I think we learned a lot about this team tonight, just the way they play, the style of play, what they're going to do down the stretch, just taking notes. That's it. So we obviously wanted to come away with the win tonight, but I'm glad the way we battled.
Third quarter, when Ben comes out and is aggressive scoring, just what did you see from him? And was anything said to him to switch from how he was playing in the first half, where he wasn't necessarily looking for his own shot?
Yeah, he just made a choice. He just made a choice to put his head down and be aggressive for our team, and we need him to do that. Came to the bench and was just encouraging him, as we do every single day. So when he's aggressive like that, being Ben Simmons, then we look very, very good, and gives us opportunities that sometimes we don't get if he's not. So we're just gonna keep supporting him, and just want to continue to do that.
Kerry, you talked a lot about how everybody's encouraging and has been to be that guy. What else can you say or do to make sure that the guy that was there in the third quarter is the guy who stays with y'all moving forward?
Just don't lose confidence in him, and look him eye to eye and just hold him accountable. That's what we do every single day. We don't want to duck anything when it comes to us building camaraderie. When I say duck, it just means sometimes confrontation's good, meaning when it happens in the locker room or happens out on the court. Sometimes you guys see it, sometimes you don't. So the encouragement could look in many different ways. We just want to continue to hammer home that our best team effort is when we're all playing well and staying aggressive and just taking the shots that the defense is giving us. So simple ingredients for this basketball game. Don't want to complicate it, but in terms of Ben, we just want him to continue to be aggressive, and when he figures it out, he figures it out. When it clicks for him, it's going to click, and we're going to look even better. So I'm seeing flashes, and I think we're all seeing flashes, and we just want him to keep up the good work.
Kyrie, you had that crazy layup to cut it to 4 in the final minute. I don't know if you saw Allen Iverson's reaction to it, but you able to practice any of that, or is that one of those things where you just kind of have to test it out in the game, and if it works, it works?
Oh, man, I've been working on my game since I was 7, 8 years old. So, the first time my dad showed me that layup, though, I was in 8th grade when I was athletic enough to implement it in my game. And since then, I've just been studying my dad, my Uncle Rod, AI, MJ, Kobe. They didn't really have some of the elusivity of the smaller guards, but those guys finished well at the rim. So I've just taken notes for some of the greats that have come before me, and I just want to be greater than them. So I know I got to try those moves out there against the best of the best, and it worked against Joel. Maybe next time he blocks it, but that show and go is a special move in my package.
Kevin is obviously such a big part of this team. Are you guys able to kind of say, hey, well, this looks good, and it'll probably look even better when Kevin is back? Or
yeah, I think we're all saying it, man. I think we're all saying it day to day, but that's just not our reality where we can just snap our fingers and have him back. We want him to get him as healthy as possible, and show it to ourselves and to him and our whole entire organization that we can hold the ship down. So these losses have not been ugly. There are no moral victories. Obviously it's a win-loss league, but I could tell you that I would be definitely worried if we were losing by 25 plus or 20 plus or 15 plus. And some of our games have just been due to our mistakes. And I think we can hold each other accountable because we can control those things. So, you see the turnovers in the second, third quarter where they get back in the game. If we can limit some of those, I feel like we'll be in the game.
And to that point, I mean, you guys get outscored by 10 in the second quarter, and it's 10-2 in points off of turnovers in that quarter. Was that anything that they did, or was that just you guys?
Yeah, you got to give them credit. I think they definitely played off of our mistakes, and they did a great job of packing in the paint. Joel was in a deep drop the whole entire game, so he didn't come up and contest too many mid-ranges. And when he did, we made him pay. So we got to live with the misses that we had. As long as they were great shots, we'll look at film and move on from now and just get ready for Detroit in like 12 hours. Okay. It's
Thanks, guys.
You gonna say
Kyrie, it seemed like tonight was a different. You've been here before and played in front of tough crowds here, obviously, but tonight seemed to be a different level of intensity tonight. The crowd.
He's Kyrie too, so he's probably think you're talking to him. Yeah.
It seemed like it was a much higher level of intensity, chippiness, or whatever you want to call it tonight. From crowd, both sides. Is that how you saw tonight, or was it tough to kind of play through that tonight?
Well, it is rivalry, right? So I mean, it does. Whenever we have divisional games like that, I know it's going to be tough, and there is a bit of an edge. We got guys that have been traded to our team. Guys that feel like they kind of were put out there and in the kind of ethos of the free agency, or so we definitely have a chip on our shoulder, and every time we go against Philly, there's something there. It's not anything outside of competition. It's just when we get on the court, we definitely want to beat each other, and I love those type of environments. And when we come to Philly, we just know what it's going to be. It's going to be a lot of chirping, very physical. The refs could be going either which way, and we just got to adjust. So I'm grateful that we got this lesson tonight. Didn't result in a W, but a loss we can definitely learn from and get ready for tomorrow.
Slightly off topic, I just wanted to ask you about, you've been very open in the past about supporting WNBA sisters and whatnot. I'm sure you followed, obviously, with Joe and the flights and so forth. Do you have any thoughts at all, on the idea of WNBA finally, hopefully, trying to be able to get charter flights? And
I mean, as one of the vice presidents in the BPA, we've discussed, a range of these things, and I wish it was as easy as getting it tomorrow, but business takes a little bit of patience, and our W ladies have been as patient long enough, so we definitely got to get something done. And I'm with them, no matter how much it costs, per se. I think we can all collectively come together and make something very doable happen. And we just want to have our ladies have peace of mind while they're playing. They don't need to be overseas all the time. They need to be here playing in front of their families every single day doing what we do. So I think it's a lesson learned right now of how we can attack this as a family, because W in the NBA, we're a family. And I think things will be figured out before the season gets started. So I'm very optimistic about that. So shout out to the ladies for stepping up. I mean, they have an unbelievable regime and team, and they work sometimes better than us. So I love them.
With their 5-game road trip complete, the Nets are heading into a stretch in which they will play 10 of their next 11 games in New York. The first of them comes your way tomorrow when they host the Pistons at Barclays Center. Coverage on Yes and the Yes app begins at 7 o'clock with a FanDuel pregame. So I know one thing is Kyrie going to show up with a show and go? Yeah. That's what he called that little move at the end, that nifty move switching to the left hand.
He talked about Rod Strickland, his godfather, who grew up with Kyrie's dad in the Bronx. It had a little Rod Strickland to it. It was a spectacular player in high school, at Truman High School, then at DePaul, and of course in the NBA. Look at this from Kyrie Irving. And now this is where your team is down 4 with under a minute to go and you need a basket. There's Joel Embiid come over to challenge. Look at that shot. That is spectacular.
And he said Joel might block it the next time. Yeah. I don't think that happens, because if he's coming over to try and get to Kyrie, there's no way he's getting that as he moves it up to the left.
And then the Nets needing a stop, that's when Harden got the layup. So,
yeah.
But degree of difficulty for Kyrie, that was... If this was like the Olympics with the gymnasts, everyone would hold up a 10. That was pretty spectacular.
Real quick, Pistons, could it be a trap game, second half of a back-to-back?
You said it. It's going to be really difficult. And I think if Jacque Vaughn, that's one thing. Now, he called the team out, or he kind of challenged the team before the Utah game. Let's just go out there and compete. And that's why the one thing you're going to be worried about is coming out flat, because Detroit is in New York. They haven't played since Monday, and now the Nets are going to be busting back up to Brooklyn. It's not going to be easy, but guess what? The Nets are a better team. Come out, compete, win that game tomorrow because they need to win.
All right, we'll see what happens. It was a well-fought game in Philadelphia. They lose it 137 to 133. We're back at it tomorrow night, Thursday night, 7 o'clock pregame on Yes. Tip a little after 7:30. Until then, take care.